a Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Yo bande, yo bande.
Tell them that we bonded.
Yo bande, yo bande. I am a true Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we bonded.
I want you people to understand.
Tell them that we bonded.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Yo bande, yo bande.
Tell them that we bonded.
Yo bande, yo bande.
This is Legal String Connections. I'm Bilal Morris with my co-host and host ARIA LIGHTFOOT, live from out of Florida. And I am live from my studio here in Los Angeles, the home where the historic Belize Diaspora Summit was held. And we want to welcome you, our viewers and our listeners across the Belizean diaspora, most of all, and at home in Belize. Belize is at home. Big time shout out to you. And again, welcome to this episode of Naval String Connections. And as I said before, I'm Bilal Morris with my co-host ARIA LIGHTFOOT. And we are live again, just sort of trying to do a recap of all the highlights of the Belize Diaspora Summit, which was historic for Belize in its whole aspects, in everything. And I remember when it was just an idea 3 years ago, brought to us by the outstanding brother, Most High, from XTV, and looking at it today, how an idea can turn into reality. And again, ARIA, we want to welcome our audience across, those Belizeans who were able to attend, those who were not able to attend, but were able to listen to the broadcast. And I'll turn it right over to you.
Good night. Thank you for joining us. I told Bilal tonight, I'm still a little jet lagged because we're 3 hours ahead of California. And flying into California was okay. Got 3 more hours, but flying back, we kind of lost that. So thank you so much for joining us. Yes, Bilal, we're coming off of a historic summit, and we will have Ms. Rishma joining us, one of the organizers, shortly. We will discuss some of these speeches and the politicians, they dangle some carrots, right? In front of us during the summit. And so now we need to move forward from there and see how we can grab at that carrot, reel it in, because they put challenges, and I like when they challenge you, because once they challenge you, it means that there's work to do and that we can work on something that becomes tangible. So thank you so much for joining us. Bilal, you were one of our panelists, but more than that, you helped Mose a lot in kind of organizing the technical parts of the summit. And I also want to add, I noticed you turned tour guide. I got go to a night and you the tour, the whole PG
Summit
crew, right?
Yes.
So tell us, Bilal, I came into your city.
Very much so in terms of, I'm writing an article on the summit, and as a journalist myself, I was able to see the vastness of the summit from the day, from its inception. And I was able to go to the various clinics, most of all the land clinic, the immigration clinic, the tourists, the BT, the tourist board.
The business showcase room.
I toured everything, all the booths outside, the Belize City Council, Hubert Piper's Diaspora, the Belize Sports Council, everything that was there to get a pulse of what it was. And as I said, was able to sort of work along with it, bringing people back and forth and helping out those who were visiting from Belize and stuff like that to come to the council, even end up, doing so much more than just being a panelist and being and escort and stuff like that.
So Rishma is here.
Yes, back and forth.
Rishma, can you say
Hi,
anything?
Rishma.
Can you speak? Because I know you said you're on 2 devices. Same
Yeah,
thing
if you can,
happened.
I didn't hook up the new Bluetooth that I have.
Okay.
So I'm on the phone device and also the computer device. But if you guys are hearing me fine,
I
like this,
am.
I'll just leave it on the computer.
Yeah, you're coming through perfectly.
Okay, thanks. Chad was trying to help me.
Just so you know, you're live now.
Hi, everyone.
So could you just quickly introduce yourself? We introduced you as a organizer of the summit, but could you give us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. My name is Rishma Eckert, maiden name Suknandan. I am an attorney in the state of Florida. I'm Belizean, and I'm one of the organizers of the Belize Diaspora Summit.
Thanks for joining us, Rishma. We
Welcome.
started the show just kind of talking about the different booths and different events that was happening, the politicians dangling the carrots in front of us.
Yes.
Bilal being a tour guide to the tongue board for was it PG tongue board. We had business people. We had local Belizeans in the California area. There were people who flew into it. You know, some
That's
people
right.
saw the value of it and came in. And so I think there's so many different interest levels in Belize. Everybody doesn't have the same idea. But what was major is the services that were provided to Belizeans. For the first time ever, people had the immigration and the lands department attending. And, you know, I did hear some mixed feedback from certain people, and I got a lot of positives. But, you know, family and friends will always be positive. But I do like hearing also the strengths and weaknesses. And so some of the concerns people were raising was the fact that government resources was being spent and taken out the country. And I do want us to discuss that because I think it's very important. And my big thing is government isn't there to profit from its citizens, period. Government is always there to provide services, and they make money off the taxes so that they can help provide services. Belizeans abroad are citizens. A lot of them pay taxes and contribute 10% of Belize's GDP. But with that said, Rishma, what do you think also is the value of the government of Belize coming into the diaspora and providing services?
Sure. And let's backtrack a little bit. I want to restate something that you said, that we are Belizeans in LA as well. So when you're talking about diverting resources, I don't see it as a diversion of resources. I see it as an extension of resources to Belizeans who are just currently not residing in Belize. So let's start from there. The other thing is, and I did hear a little bit of rumblings too, some criticisms about the land clinic and the immigration clinic being in LA. I want to also say that the reason that the land clinic and the immigration clinic was able to pick up and come to LA is because they are currently doing these clinics in Belize. So this is not something that they invented in order to come to LA and service people in LA. There are clinics that are being done around the country, and they were able to lift that clinic and transport it outside of Belize for the very first time. So I just want to make those distinctions very clear, because it's not a diversion, it's an expansion. I want to also say that for those who are criticizing the services to the diaspora, I don't see it as an issue. Of course, I'm biased, but I don't see it as an issue where more Belizeans are being served. That's what our government is for. We also, buy land, have passport issues. We have the same issues, similar issues that you have in Belize. It's just the difference is we don't have access to these clinics that are being done in the country because we don't live there. We'd have to fly in, and a lot of times, you know how it goes, come back the next day, come back the next week. We don't have the flexibility to necessarily just book flights whenever we can to come back to Belize. So I actually see this as a greatly positive experience, and it shows the commitment of the government to be able to extend its services to all Belizeans, not just the ones living there. What was your question again, Aria? Sorry.
No, just what are your overall thoughts about the clinic?
Yeah, I thought that they were for the first time, going for the first time, I thought it was very, very successful. We saw it face to face. We saw the happiness in people's faces as they skipped down the hall because they were finally able to deal with the immigration issues or finally able to get some answers on their land issues. So I think in that sense that it was very successful. Just the amount of people that showed up for the clinic shows that it's a success. Unofficially, I heard that Lands Clinic had about 400 people show up in those 3 days. So that alone shows that the need for it and the success for it. Immigration had to cut short because they had an prior obligation in Belize that they had to return to. But similarly, I think they had about, unofficially again, 100 people a day that showed up to try to either renew their passports, get a new passport, fix some issue with their passport. And again, these are services that we were shut out from because we would have to take time off of work, fly to Belize, enormous expenses sometimes, and we don't have an ability to do that. So I think it's a huge success. Even the idea that the government is willing to come outside of Belize to service Belizeans outside of Belize, I think is a really ambitious and very appreciated service for us Belizeans here in the diaspora.
I want to add to with that, and I want to add this aspect that a lot of people don't realize. You did touch on it where you said to deal with a land issue. It's the same issue as if you live in PG. You go to land's department, you can't see somebody, you're missing some document, and then you have to return home. And you might not get that opportunity again for months, depending on what your finances are. One of the things I saw with lands, because the other rumor was, oh, they were in the diaspora giving away land. Actually, a lot of it, because I spoke to quite a few people, a lot of it were issues that dealt with probate issues. Oh, we've already dealt with this probate issue. Here's all our signatures. We're trying to make sure that this land is transferred correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've been waiting for this for 2, 3, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something you could research and get corrected today? And to my surprise, and I will say surprise because, you hear a lot of negativity a lot sometimes with government services. But let me tell you, Lands Department was out there every morning, early in the morning at 7 o'clock, setting up. They were there setting up. They were all well uniformed. And they were in there serving the public up until 2 o'clock in the morning. And I must say that their minister and all their senior staff was in there the entire time, ensuring that people had the right signatures and stuff, dealing with the public. And sometimes the public is not nice to deal with because you're waiting in a long line. There's inevitable that some people will start getting jittery and loud. And we want to commend Mr. Coleman. That was so many people commended him. He was handling the crowd. He took abuse many times, and he respectfully dealt with people to get their issues resolved. And I'll be honest, I was very impressed with their level of professionalism in pulling that off. And none of them were able to even attend the gala.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, because they were working up until the hotel literally had to kick them out.
Right.
Stayed there until every single person that stood in that line was seen. And that to me was very impressive. And like one person told me, oh, I have to fly to States for go. So I tell them, no, there's land clinics in Belize. Why don't you just go to a land clinic in Belize? Because obviously it's a process that it's a public service. And they saw the public. It wasn't done in a very political manner at all. everybody was seeing. Even couple old politicians were in there getting their land issues resolved that weren't even from the party, and they got it resolved. So,
Exactly.
it was really a public service, and I was very impressed. And without a doubt, Belizeans should realize that everybody that has their land issues resolved, that's a new taxpayer into your system.
That's right. I was just going to say that it's very important to point out that all the money's being made from the lands department and immigration, that's money that's being interjected in the Belizean economy.
Yeah.
That is, they're taking that back home. So for those who have the naysayers, and I try not to give too much credence to that, but for those who are saying, they're just giving the diaspora all this stuff and they're not seeing the upside and the benefit of that, which is all that money from all those days that are being paid for passports and being paid for land issues, that's going straight into the Belizean economy. That's not touching US soil.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
So that is, what's that?
People in the diaspora who didn't attend said, and here they charge $500 for the land thing, and you have to explain to them, no. People like, what's the difference between you have a developer that is selling your piece of land is 100 by 60 square feet or something for $10,000 and stuff like that, or more than that, right? $40,000. Then to be paying $500 for you to get full ownership of a piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they realize, yeah, that's really, really a deal, because a lot of them take 500 US, go to Belize, and think that they could take $1,000 Belizean dollars to get a piece of property. Oh, they're fine.
Also mentioned, they had a young man that came all the way from Mobile, Alabama. Catch the bus, catch the plane, sleeping at the airport because he wanted his nationality papers. He wanted his Belizean citizenship. So when he got there and he was able to get his Belizean citizenship, he was happy. And to me, these are the things that I've always said. If Belizeans buy a piece of land, I'm always big on owning a piece of the country, or people get their nationality. Now you have people who are vested. They're vested as a taxpayer.
Yep.
They're vested as a citizen now into the system, which helps.
Exactly. So that young man who is now able to get his Belizean passport, rightfully so, will now go visit Belize, take his family to Belize, buy land in Belize, maybe start a business in Belize.
Hire Belizeans.
Hire Belizeans. You just never know the impact of one person being able to have that opportunity. And that's why it's so important to see it from a flip side, and instead of the critical, very naysaying negative side, it's really important to also flip it and see all the benefits that you can get from this, right? And I want to add something else, because it just occurred to me, for the people who weren't able to attend the clinic, they don't have a concept of what we're talking about. This is not some go behind some closed door transaction that no one can see. We had a conference room that was a wide open space with desks and representatives all around the room. It's an open space. Everyone can see everyone. You walk into that room, you see everyone. So I don't want people to think that this is some kind of special closed door clandestine operation that we were throwing. No, this was supposed to be as transparent as possible, and the room was set up in a way that it was as transparent as possible. So this is, I see it as an overall benefit. I know that we've been asked by many other cities in the US when we're going to take the summit there, so that they can have their opportunities to take advantage of these as well. We've had other people come to us and say, can you bring Social Security Board next time? Can you bring vital statistics? They started naming things that they would need that they're not able to go to Belize to get. Now, and I want to reiterate this, the reason that Land and Immigration could have pulled this off is because they currently have a program where they do this in Belize.
Yes.
That's
one of the things I want to mention,
very important.
Why this is an impactful thing for Belizeans. In America, if you cannot access an ID right now, you can't get any services. And some Belizeans, they need an identification. And your passport is one of the most recognized, widely accepted, well, internationally accepted form of
Internationally,
ID.
it is.
So when you have an ID, when they're able to access an ID, it impacts their life here also. And Belizeans that are impacted here positively in that way, that impact goes back home because, maybe they can access services that they weren't able to access without a valid ID. So these are, to me, some of the important things. As Belizeans, we should expect our government to provide services. And that story, in the US right now, Belize, if you are a US citizen and you need one passport, you could go to your US embassy and go access services. They are in Belize. They do a lot of things in Belize for citizens of the United States. They hold events and stuff like that because that's what governments do. Government provide services for their citizens. Right now, the United States is looking to create access to citizenship to children who came in as DACA citizens. One of the young ladies were there, and they were at the White House the Friday of our event. That DACA thing is going to impact a lot of Belizeans because if they're able to give a pathway to citizenship, that means they're able to access jobs, certain jobs, more benefits, different things, and those things translate back home. Anything positive translates back home positively. And that's how we should always see positivity and negativity alike. It's almost like it's like catching a cold. You shake one person's hand, you pass it on. That works in a positive way, that works in a negative way. I was actually very impressed that the government also sponsored the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, was one of our big sponsors for the gala event. And they showed support the entire time. I must say that I was very impressed with that. I will also want to give big credit to all our sponsors. You have a lot of small businesses in Belize that took a chance on us. Sometimes you have to haggle with them and they want to know where they go on. You sure I make money? Blah, blah, blah.
But it's a new endeavor, so we
Right.
understand that.
But they still came. They
took a chance.
Yeah, they took a chance because it's an idea. Initially, it was an idea. Some people couldn't conceive what the business showcase room is like. And so I had to kind of explain what it was. I want to say our city council, they actually first accepted, then they had budgetary concerns. But Miss Mel at the city council that runs the Hubert Pipersburg, this woman is amazing. She'd literally make blood out of stone kind of lady, right? Because she get a table, she negotiate that table away. She get a lot of donations for the city school back. She get people for the participate. And so I could tell you, she walked away with something that's going to be beneficial for some community in Belize. And man, she get food for people in that area there.
The nicest rice and beans I had when I was there.
She gets somebody for cook.
Yeah.
Belize style, they had the formal food, but when she bring in the oxtail, nobody want the
formal American food.
We don't want the regular food. Yeah.
But the good thing about that too is that now that she has this takeaway from our inaugural event, she can now go back to city council and say, look at all the positives that happened when I was there. The next time they have an event, send me with more support.
Yeah.
A bigger delegation, because now we have proven success. And I think that that's something that we can take away for the next one, is that we can show that proven success and the need for those types of services as well. So I think that's very important. I to kind of backtrack for what you said, Aria, I want to give a special shout out to our ambassador, Sandia Murphy, and also our CEO, Nicole Solano. She helped me through the entire couple of days with how to do protocols, because again, Aria and I are not political people. I don't know where goes what and how you say this to this person and what's their formal
Or
title.
the flag for
How
turn.
the flag's supposed to turn. Oh, and the consulate in LA helped as well. How the
Yes.
flag is supposed to turn. These are so. I'm in the business world. Those things don't really mean stuff in the business world. So for me, it was just learning on the job, and the
Talk
CEO helped me.
about one of the
What's that?
questions were, as you talk about the Consul General of LA or the acting, a lot of Belizeans in the diaspora here in Los Angeles region community are very questionable about that office because for many, many, many months they could not get services coming out of there. I was asked as someone who they know, I've been a community organizer for many years. We once had solid Consul General offices like Roland Yard. We could name them Paul Warren, Pearl Warren, Roy Young. These were solid Consul General offices where services were booming. Belizeans were going and getting services. But in the incoming of this new Consul General, a lot of people were complaining that they were not getting the kind of services. And I think that the on ARIA because that immigration office came in at the right time. Because do you know there were so many Belizeans who wanted their passports to be, but they could not get response from the Consul General office, the present one under this new government. Can you explain basically between the two of you? Because I don't know what has been happening or what has been her response or what has been her explanation. And I have not been able to talk to her during the summit. But why is it that her office has not been able to
I can't
these
speak.
services and immigration come from Belize and is able to get these services, which was, in a way, very helpful, but not to make the Consul General look bad or anything, but that office has been struggling for months now in trying to keep up with in responding to Belizeans who badly needed the services.
So, in my opinion, just speaking to her, and I can't speak for what services is provided, but I think it's not well staffed. It's only her, and I think the people who are in there volunteer, and with volunteers, you only could take what you could get type stuff. But for a community so large, being one of the largest in the country, they obviously need to put major services in there. Even one embassy to me size service level, just because that it's an area. And of course, we don't know the official numbers, but as you could see, immigration had a limit of 100 persons per day, but they took walk-ins. And more people wanted to come. Lands tried to do 75, over 300 signed up, and a lot of people just showed up for lands. So even though we're saying 400 for lands, I think more like 500 people showed up, and probably maybe 250 to 300 showed up for passports. And could you imagine one person sitting in an office trying to handle even that level of volume?
Right.
You can't create no service level with
No,
one person.
and there was lines through the door and it was a room full of people servicing
Yeah.
them. So can you imagine? So this is one of the things that I think is a positive outlook from the summit, is to see the need that's there. And now the members of the LA community can lobby and say, look, 300 people showed up for passport services.
Yeah.
Can we get a fully staffed office, please?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are the types of things I talk about metrics all the time and I make myself sick talking about metrics, but I'm very big on having the numbers to justify. It's the legal training. We have to have evidence for everything, right? So now that you see with your own eyes that there's about 300 people that need these services
in 2 days,
in 2 days, because immigration couldn't stay the last day. This is a good justification to go to the government now and say, can we please have a fully staffed? For whatever reason you don't have it yet, can we please now have it? Because look at the need. You can see it with your own two eyes. Right?
And it will pay for itself, because your passports are not cheap. You're talking about $250 per person for a passport.
Right. Money that you could be making, it's you're leaving money on the table by not providing these services.
Right.
So
Right.
You know, the history of that Consul General office is but the brainchild of Dean Oliver Barrow as the foreign minister during the Esquivel administration after they came to power in 1984, that he declared here in Los Angeles, right after the formation of the Consortium Belizean Development, that Los Angeles will now get out, not a consul or whatever, that Los Angeles will now get a full-fledged Consul General office. And it started with Paul Warren being that full-fledged Consul General. So, and right after that, that pattern continued with the government, the PUP government that came in, then the UDP again, and very fully staffed. But I want to say that there was a lady inside of that Consul General office that you talk about, the chart of staff, ARIA and Rishma, that she was the one that was doing the backbone of the work, that the Consul General herself or himself or herself did not have to do anything but just be in their office.
Right.
I can't remember her name, but she was the one that carried the main, that was the machine.
Miss Gentle.
Not Miss Gentle. There was
he's saying someone else was in the office that did like the
But that have been Miss Gillett.
I can't remember her name.
She got married.
Retired, when she served all the terms of the incoming government, starting from when Paul Warren was there, right up to
Carol Mackenzie.
Miss Mackenzie.
Yes.
The one. That's who processed my children dual citizenship. I started it in Belize, and all I did was walk in there and roll on the obstacles. Just said, go to her. That's it. And she said, "Oh, you did everything, Papa," and she got it all done.
And she came from the foreign ministry from Belize.
Right, but she served in all those governments, and she was the one that was the person driving that Consul General office and giving that excellence of service.
I want to say Miss Gentle was extremely helpful. She really helped us with knowing what to do, how to handle the prime minister being there, what the protocol was for everything. And let's not forget the leader of the opposition was there too. He actually gave us a sponsorship also for the event. So I don't want to leave that behind because it was bipartisan. It's never intended to ever be political on our behalf because all services were Belizean, that the only identifier you have in the diaspora. We can't afford the political level stuff. And these leaders have it within their power to open the guarded gate. You know, we don't need gatekeepers. We need to open the gate to Belizeans, and we can become a powerful group. Powerful in many ways economically, if we start doing things together. And I want to also add, Rishma and I use only Belizean designers. We use Belizean people to do the shirts. We use Belizeans for all merchandising at home and here. So I just want to make that point very clear that the reason why we use Belizeans is to show something like this. Belizeans at home benefited from an event like this. And then you have the different businesses that did come in. But one of the things I do want to say, both politicians, the leader of the opposition and Honorable Karim Musa, both said that they agree they would support a Belizean diaspora senator. And I want that to be heard, and we do not leave that one because I believe change can be incremental, right? That's one that they're willing to give. We're willing to take it. If the churches can have a senator, and not one church is local, the Catholic churches in Rome, the Anglican churches in England, the evangelical churches come from the United States, and they have a senator. Why can't the Belize diaspora have a senator?
The NGOs as well.
Yes, the NGOs are mostly foreign NGOs. The current sitting senator, the NGO she represents, is not a Belizean NGO. So these are the things that we as Belizeans really need. And how many people does the NGO represent? a group of bodies of how many? Far less than.
Then the diaspora.
We don't
Yeah.
even have to do any, we don't have to go do no kind of survey, because even if they got 1,000 NGO and they have 5 people in an area, 20 people per NGO, it still does not equate to how many people are in the diaspora. So yes, we should get a seat in the Senate, because that's where we know exactly what type of policies are being made. And these policies affect us. If you own land, I believe, and they don't want land policy, it will affect you. If our policy will affect your family and you to help take care of family, it affects you.
Or
If
your
it
immigration status, right? Even your immigration status,
schools, how many people are
anything.
paying for scholarships for kids in Belize? Everything affects us also, because we are also outside of emotionally tied. We are tied by family members. We are tied by business relationship. Some people are tied politically. Some people are tied different ways to Belize. So yes, we do deserve a seat, and I think it should be unequivocal. And we will be willing to work with the government to help come up with a bill if they need to, if they don't have time for write one. Rishma is an attorney. We want source.
We'll figure it out.
Write a bill.
Brain power for it. You got the brain power and
Yes.
technical.
We'll definitely figure it out. And I want to also reiterate something very important that Aria said, and I want to just say it again because she said it so eloquently, and it's very important for the listeners to hear. We used all Belizean vendors to put this off, right? We wanted to make it a point to show that the vast talent that's out there with Belizeans, from the setup, the designers, the only thing we couldn't really use is the food, because we already had a relationship with the hotel.
And that will change next time.
That will change, but we had to use the hotel for certain things, and that was
Rishma, I just want to add, we did use food because Lands Department did source a local Belizean
to
from
cook. Right.
to
So we
cook
did do
for
food as
them.
well. Designers, food. Just it was incredible when we walked in and we saw the beautiful centerpieces that were done and the backdrop. It was just we were blown away.
Yeah.
So just to go to show that it's not just that the Belizeans we're looking to get services just because we want free services. No, it's not. That's not even true. And we're not doing that. We are a community here that has all the services to provide. And Aria and I, we made it a point to make sure that before we go and we find it somewhere else, let's see if we know of a Belizean that does it. And then we patronize them.
Of the broadcasters who brought the summit to these diaspora who could not attend, because XTV and Radio Belize Mix did a phenomenal, excellent job. And I want to ask you all to talk about that, because I was being a broadcaster on a broadcast.
Will Johnson, I really have to. Will got there when I get the Will Day night wife beaters.
He put in a lot of work.
Putting things together, frustrated because internet was a challenge at the place, which next time we'll have better. It was a learning curve, but Will Johnson did a phenomenal job, because the Will literally did that at slave wages. I will say that. And he helped us with the mics. You never even walk here with the hotel. When they try charge we just for that.
For mics. Yeah.
Just for mics. $200 a mic. Okay. So Will really came in and he really helped us with that. Will Johnson. I must commend him. I'm happy he was there.
And I want to add to that. I want to add to that too, that he was very proactive. Even when things weren't working out, immediately I look at him, he has another mic ready. So it's, it was very, I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with the way that we were able to still be seen in Belize as well.
And then XTV, of course, Mose. This was Moses' idea initially. Moses came and said, why we not try doing a diaspora summit? And Richmond. I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do
Really?
it. Right? And then in the parade, they tell me I'm the send out commands.
So what I love so beautiful is the collaboration between
Yes,
XTV and Radio Belize Mix.
yes,
These two broadcasting networks,
We
the
did.
one that carries the largest audience in the diaspora and the one that carries the largest audience in Belize
In
itself.
LA.
yeah,
Yeah.
XTV can also broadcast worldwide and has broadcasted worldwide. And Radio Belize Mix have broadcasted worldwide, but powerfully so with a large audience in the United States. They merge their talents and
yes,
their
yes,
resources to bring Belizeans. This is historic to
yeah,
bring Belizeans across the world in the diaspora and at home, the summit into their living rooms, you know?
yes.
Yes.
I want to say thanks to Mose and Katie Usher, because I even think that Katie, I heard her talking about certain things, and I was running around, so I barely saw half of it. I'm actually going to watch everything this weekend. But I could not see half of it. But I want to see the discussions because I was hearing bits and pieces. The first discussion, Nuri Akbar, he does not hold back. And I like that. Something about Nuri Akbar kind of remind me of my pa. I don't know why it kind of look
It's
like
the authority. It's the way he speaks.
I don't
It's
know
the
what it is
authority.
he does, but he did because honestly, when you meet him, he looks like a quiet person. Like he looks non-assuming. Like you wouldn't believe he had jump up there with this powerful
He-
speech that in the midst
Unpredictable.
of it, he reminded us that, hey, yes, this is good, this feel good. But we also have a sector of the population that we as a country should be taking care of. He brought out very important issues, you
Let's
know.
talk about the panel discussions because I
Yeah,
think that's a part of the summit that I know everyone's excited for the clinics, but I was particularly excited for the panel discussions because this is how we get to a place of improvement and
yes.
our different asks that we want from the government or from
We're
people.
hosting panel discussions, Rishma.
We kind of battled out on the subject matters because
And
there's so much to talk about in Belize, but there's only one day and so much time. So we definitely had to deal with the pioneers, and we had Dr. Lang's daughter on the panel. We had Dr. Ramsey, and just so you know, she is Ramsey Mule's niece for Belizeans, and she actually, how
The
I got to
grandfather,
know her,
Ramsey, the grandfather, the original Ramsey Mule.
yes.
The
And
son
she's a professor at the
was
University of
grandfather.
Texas, Austin, the college that the Prime Minister went. That's
she's
where
writing
she
a book.
teaches.
She's writing a
So
book on a
I
paper,
met,
a paper on the diaspora.
well, I met her. That's how I met her. She
Yeah.
was writing her dissertation and she wanted to talk about people in the diaspora. So she wrote her dissertation. She graduated. She's a doctor now. She's teaching, but now she's writing a book about the diaspora. So to me, she was important on that panel because she got to meet the pioneers. She got to meet the Bilals and the Nuri Akbar, and you could hear about Dr. Lang, and then the ambassador is there because it was a transition. It transitioned from an idea 100 years ago with the guy who wrote the national anthem to today or this week where we had a summit. Because to me, ideas, if you water it, eventually grows. Many times we don't see it grow personally, but it's a torch. And that's why I thought it was also important to bring in the young people. The
Yeah,
panel,
hold on. Let's not forget Ray, Mr. Ray Gongora
Ray
on the
Gongora,
panel.
come on, Ray, that does so many artistic work within the diaspora.
In
He,
Florida, we call him El Rey because he's like the godfather of
yes,
Belizeans in Florida. So
and
um,
he is the major connector with media and news
exactly, and
throughout the
arts
diaspora.
and
Yeah.
arts. Yeah.
So all these people sat on the first panel, and second panel was sports, right? Was that the second one?
Yeah, that was Mose was the moderator.
Marvel.
That one, a lot of people
Very
really liked.
powerful sports panel. I sat in
Yeah,
all of it and listened. They were very
great.
pertinent information coming out in regards to our sports councils and the new drive to sports as it used to be one time. Very, very much beautiful,
And you
powerful
have
sports.
these,
But Greg Myers, most of all, Greg Myers,
mean-
most of all, drove that whole panel. And what he had to
Seriously,
say, not only what he's talking about, is what he's doing. Having his son, 17-year-old Dimitri Myers, being the 1,500 and 3,000 Carifta champion and record holder. And he himself is the coach of that. And a young man that is a Belizean in the diaspora that has represented Belize so honorably and with excellence, you know?
Yeah, and the most important part of that entire panel is when he said all he's asking people to do is answer the call when he calls. Because, and I remember that I kept on saying answer the call, because I think that's a lot of how us in the diaspora feel when we want to connect with the country. We don't care who's in power, what party you represent. We want to help the country. And it's very important that the country also recognizes that we're not doing it for political gain. We're doing it really for pride and passion for your country. And so to answer the call that he kept on saying, and put your egos aside and answer the call, I thought that was the best message that he could have done for the sports panel.
Also, we have.
and then add Olin Simplice.
I was about to
This is
say,
that elite
Yeah.
coach. This
Yeah.
guy's coaching WNBA and NBA.
NBA,
a gold
yeah.
medalist,
And
medalist in the
with
1980 CARICOM Games, where Belize won its only and first gold medal in basketball. Never have
And let's put it this way, can they try give back? Like all the
He's
guys
wanting
try
to-
give back. and
Exactly.
it's
They're
there.
bending over backwards to try to give back to the country. How could the country even think to block that kind of blessing that they can get for sports?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, well, we have a ray of hope, right?
People
Because the Sports
paying him.
Council was there on the panel, and he did say, you know, I'll answer the call, call me, I'll answer it. So that to me, that's already a success.
Yes.
To see that we put these people together who are going to be able to improve the sports atmosphere in Belize.
And Marvin himself, who heads the Belize Sports Council, saying, yes, we will answer the call.
Yes, he said we will answer the call. Good. Perfect. This is kind of what we want, right? This is
Belize,
one of the reasons we wanted to put the summit together.
Greg, he will answer the call. He will answer the call. Yes, yes.
And then think about
Very
an
much so.
SOE, it's happening in Belize right now. Sports worldwide has been the biggest distraction from crime. You know, when young people are positively engaged, when they're positively competitive rather than competing in negative ways, you know, we need to create a space for their young people. I keep saying it. We could create a revolving door into jail, but it's not going to solve a problem. We need to create a space for people to thrive regardless of where you come from. To me, that's my dream for Belize.
Yeah, what really touched me on the panel was the fact that, and I don't remember who said it, that when they come to Belize and they see young men playing barefooted better than people who are actually in the coaching programs and people who are in college, and they can see them playing better barefooted. It just goes to show, if you have a little bit of access to resources and coaching and just, you know, things that will help you, how far can you possibly go? The talent is there. That really resounded with me when someone said it on the panel, like, wow, Belize really have a lot of talent, untapped talent.
Children that play barefooted and have natural talent that can even, they can go to a foreign, to Guatemala or to Salvador, participate in games and win races barefooted.
You're right. Untapped talent.
Belize is,
natural talent, yeah.
people look at the diaspora and see what Belizeans become when resources are available to them. Look at Belizeans that came in. Belizeans are in every sector in America, even the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Every sector, Belizeans are for such a small country. We are a tiny little country in this world, you know. Like I always tell people, if they take every Belizean and put them in our tongue to America, we still would be a small tongue. That's how small.
That's true.
That's how small we are population-wise. And then for have all their greatness come out of just one small place. And let's be real, we're related by blood or marriage. They say 60% of the country is related by blood or marriage. And then when you throw friendship in it, and people that grow up together, the proximity to each other is very small. And as a very small community that lives in this big, big world, we shouldn't live divided because unity in strength. Our team was power in unity. If we could find similarities and common ground to build different aspects within Belize, give people the services they need, and make the country grow positively. Nothing no wrong with, listen, we want to become, I always use the two groups. I said it in my speech.
Yeah.
You have two groups in America. If you do migrations, you have the Jewish community and you have the Cuban community. I know they're saying the Caribbean community lately. These are showing to be some of the most successful communities in America. When the Jews came in, remember when they came in, they were running away from persecution in Europe. And so they created a powerful set where they came in very educated, more educated than a lot of other immigrants. They used that education to empower their community, to lobby on behalf of their community. And today, I mean, even we could talk about the war and everything else, but the reason why the United States supports the Jews so fervently is because they are a powerful lobby community. They work together. The next community is the Cuban community, right? A lot of them came in, again, a very highly educated community. Many came in as doctors and different stuff when they ran from Cuba, because Cuba actually has a very high level of education. Again, you come into the US, you understand things at a higher level because you understand systems and processes. And so again, they became a very powerful lobbying community. I can't see why Belize can't do that. We come in as one very educated community. Even if you just gone to high school at Belize, Belizeans are, listen, the best Belizeans when you hear the best conversations, catch one bus and one person bring up a political issue. And you are hear the deepest conversations from some of what you would consider some of the more indigenous Belizeans. The depth of the conversation when they talk about how things impact their families and stuff like that. Serious conversation, and that already tells me that you have a community of deep thinkers. You have a community of people that understand things better than we think they understand things. And while we are, and one thing I always tell about Belizeans, we could jump on Facebook and cuss up one another, cuss up the politician. When a politician come, it is just respect. They show all of their respect. You know what I mean? They're not rude to them. I must say that when the leader of the opposition and the prime minister was there, Belizeans treated both of them respectfully.
And they treated
Likewise,
each other respectfully. They treated each other respectfully, and we have the pictures to prove that too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
I think that kind of shocked a lot of people when you posted
yes.
that the leaders are getting along, and we need to.
A process of bridging the gap between Belizeans at home and abroad. I did not see, I used to hear the organizations talk about it, even bread on my organizations. Bridging that gap between Belizeans at home and abroad. Bridging that gap. How do we do it? How do you hear about all kinds of different things? But this Belize Diaspora Summit really show how it's to be done. How you bridge the gap. How do you bring Belizeans at home and abroad into this unified power and think tank that show the power of a country, of its people at home and abroad, and what it can do in its development. This is one of the, I've been involved with the consortium, I've been involved with many, I've seen many programs, Top 10 and all of that, and so on. Bert Tucker's 2011 homecoming conference would never materialize, but this I have to see, and I can say I have to see how bridging that gap works, how
Let's
it
talk
can be
about
done.
your
I
panel,
believe there are
Bilal.
so much. That
Yeah, let's talk about the other two, the other
The political.
political power.
I was like shocked when I read that the legendary Malik Side was writing about my
Yes.
Akbar's presentation. I was very humbled to see that because we both went in there with our heart and soul to make a difference.
Mhm.
Not to make anybody, we were not there to make anybody like us, but we were there to speak for those people, those pioneers who had gone before and laid down this foundation so that me, you, Rishma, and Aria could be here today doing this.
But you
And
notice Evan almost gave you like Wali, you're shocked with Bilal when we think you're politically correct.
yeah,
You don't notice in the article?
he knows me well because he knows the whole Ubad struggle, and he
Yeah.
comes from children of Ubad. We come from out of that. Brother was like an offspring of Ubad in the Belizean diaspora as a grassroots community organization. And he knew us so from the 80s, the 90s, coming to Belize, working with Spear, getting on the radio at the time. No Kremlin had no TV. He had just radio and us talking and discussions with him and meeting the great Ubadas like Justice and himself and Galent O'Neill and Shabazz, who was the one who was our mentor, right? And so I think he has lived to see the children of Ubad growing up and have matured
Right.
to be able to hold their own and to stand into these forums and speak for Belize and the Belizean people in a way that is, like he used the word for me, strong. I've always has a strong message in my presentations. And Nur Akbar and I would have been stronger if he was in that particular panel.
Right.
But Akbar's presentation in the pioneering part, glorious, at which he rightfully did. He can speak, he can represent in both fields, Nur Akbar. He can represent.
What do you feel about the carrot that the minister dangled in front of us with the caveat?
Right.
He put a caveat that, well, we don't really know what the diaspora want, and we don't really know what are the true numbers of the diaspora. Of course, they know that, but they need to go pull up our passport.
They know when they talk about the remittances. How much
exactly.
Passport.
Exactly.
How many remittances did they receive? Probably. Come on, commission it. Let them commission a review of how many Belizeans are abroad. Let's commission it. Like put some money to it, and then we will know how many Belizeans are abroad. They know how much passport. Belize. Be honest. The reason why Belize get in trouble, right? During the passport whole scandal, because we issued almost 1 million, from what I understand, passports, and only 400,000 supposed to live in the country.
Exactly. I think they must have a ballpark of,
well,
people that they know live in the diaspora. I think it's just.
And they will use
that the ballpark. If you issue 1 million passport, you don't believe in whether or not you're economic, that's our policy of the government, whether you're buy.
One of the things that I would have loved to see happen is that our Prime Minister, Johnny Brisseni, that we would have been able to take him to City Hall to meet with the Mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, and to get the key to the city and to keep on establishing the sister city relations that George Caleb Price did and Zenaida Moya.
Well, Bilal, that's your task.
And I remember when Zenaida was to speak, she spoke about Belize, but when it was time to speak about the diaspora, she said to me, Bilal, I don't know anything of the diaspora. You speak of this. I said, my sister, that's why I'm here. And after my presentation, the business person of City Hall, tall white guy, came up to me and says, you know what? Before you spoke, we didn't know anything about the Belizean diaspora.
We try to get her
the numbers, as I was using numbers and everything, and how much was in the LA Belizean community, and totally how much in all that was in abroad. I use a figure of 200,000. More Belizeans are abroad than at home. And he was so very impressed with that. He says, because most of your leaders come and they establish sister city relations, but there is no reciprocity. They go and they don't do anything else. We don't hear back from them. And
Well,
so
well,
the relationships break down.
Bilal, that's going to be your task now. We tried, and guess what? At the Belize Summit, we met the guy that said, "Hey, I work with her office. Next time, contact me."
Oh, okay.
And that's not the craziness. We met them
Right.
at the
She
summit.
said that she had a conflict, right? That's why she wasn't
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to.
that's what that was the letter that.
Official response was
Yeah.
that it was a
And
So
he
conflict. But
said, "I
we
work
know
in
that,
the
Prime
office. Next
Minister
time,
go to the hall. Yeah.
yeah.
so Bilal, that will be your task.
To take him to city.
Your task will be to welcome him back, take him to City Hall, and
Yes.
maybe help with reciprocity. You need because they need the help. I mean, our leaders need our help. They might not admit it, but something like that. What does that look like? These cities are run for thousands, not thousands, but hundreds of years compared to Belize. Belize is relatively new. So,
Corinne Bass is so very important because she's the one that gave me the figure. And my good sister Yaya Marin looked it up and researched it and said, "You were right. You were telling me about this all the while." And she told me personally, as a community organizer that attended one of her meetings, because we are the Belizean community live in her constituency. And she said to me, "Do you know that the Belizeans are the largest Black immigrant group?" I've been saying this a long time, and I did not know that. When
yes.
I took this information on your she don't know what she's talking about. She was correct. Because when I asked her, "How you know that?" She said, "Because they vote for me. They vote for me. This is a politician." And
And
Karen
in
Bass
America,
today
we
came
are
up with
very
those.
into demographics.
We had no idea about that. And these people have figures. They are
Yes,
politicians.
very into demographics.
Metrics. They
Knows
need to
what
know
they
how
Yeah.
to. And
But
I'm
guys,
not.
we have to take a break,
Oh,
and then we're going to be ending at 11. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the youth panel and the panel that talked about navigating the future,
right.
and then other issues that Rishma or Bilal would like to speak
Let's
about.
take a station ID too before we go. This is Naval String Connection. I am Bilal Morris with my hosts ARIA Lightfoot and Rishma Eckert, who is in studio. And when we come back, we will continue discussing these very pertinent issues in the Belize.
Discover Serendipity Hills, exclusively offered by Sabre Realty, just a few minutes from Domopan, Belize's capital city. Nestled between the Belize River, La Ruta Maya's route, and the Western Highway, these lots offer a great opportunity for residential, commercial, or investment. Starting at 25,000 Belize dollars, owner financing is available with 4-year payment plans. Act now to secure a lot. Contact ARIA Lightfoot at 813-486-8220 for further details or to arrange an exclusive tour. Serendipity Hills awaits. Embrace the extraordinary.
Atlantic Bank is an institution with more than 50 years of experience in partnership with Belizeans. We have been lending to all industries. We have been investing in the growth and development of Belize. We are proud to introduce Atlantic Bank's micro, small, and medium enterprise loan program, the perfect solution to grow and enhance your small business. Let Atlantic Bank be your partner in making your small business dreams come true. Call us or visit any of our branches countrywide today to find out more about Atlantic Bank's micro, small, and medium enterprise loan program. We will talk you through your options and find the best financial fit for you and your business. Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Belize, Dara is doing
my home, my native land.
Tell them that we ballin'.
I want you people to understand.
Tell them that we ballin'.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
Tell them that we ballin'.
Yo bande, yo.
This is Naval Strength Connections. I'm Bilal Morris, right here in my studio in Los Angeles, along with ARIA Lightfoot and Rishma Eckert. We are talking about the Belize Diaspora Summit, and this is Creme Television. I mean, this is XTV Television, a production of XTV. This show is a production of XTV. We want to thank Harlan behind the controls, our brother Harlan in the studio. We want to thank our producer, Nur Muhammad, and we want to thank our brother Most High for providing this station, this powerful Belizean medium, this grassroots Belizean medium to bring forth the Belize Diaspora Summit. Guys?
So we're going to talk now about the forward focus panel. So go ahead, you guys give me your impression on those. And then the youth panel.
Right. So for the forward focus, for the most part, we talked about how we can, exactly what Bilal was saying, how can we bridge the gap? What else can we do to move along the cause of the diaspora? And I think a lot of that, we had CEO on that panel, Nicole Solano, and I think a lot of that has to go with, like we talked a lot about just different types of engagements, because the way that the diaspora engage with Belize is not just remittances. I know that seems to be what the government talks about all the time. It's just remittances, but there's other programs involved. Like you mentioned, the scholarship program, you mentioned sports programs, the intellectual, transfer that happens too with the ideas for businesses and engaging with property. So we just talked about the different ways that we can move forward in bridging that gap, and different programs that might be in place in the future to help Belizeans to want to repatriate and come back home.
And let me tell you, I was impressed with the youth panel, all young women. And by the way, we did try to get a few young men.
It did.
And they said no. But us women tend to be more less shy at a younger age. It was powerful because they talked about things that affected them. I thought that Destiny and Artie and Kalila did a phenomenal job.
They were so impressive.
Yeah. Belize has so much, like when I watch young people like that, I realize Belize does have a future, and we need to keep engaging these young people. If we believe that it's a torch that you're going to eventually pass on, they have to be involved. And let me tell you, we had volunteers that came from Arizona and New York and from Los Angeles. And I have to big up the volunteers because they made a big difference in this forum. The things we couldn't take care of, they were taken care of. You have Miss Barnett, and you had Lisa Castaneda, Kalila, Keda, Simone. You had
Chantel, Faron.
Yes, Faron, Chantel. Man, they carried shopping there. They make we use a vehicle, Chantel mom. I don't remember Chantel mom name right now. But that was our little team. And listen, they just want to help and be involved, and they want to be involved going forward. So I have to big them up, because honestly, without their support and their involvement and just one thing I like work with young people a lot of times, because they bring that level of energy, and we really should engage our young people more.
Absolutely.
In cases to be successful.
They're very competent in what they're doing, to the point where Aria is one place, I'm in another place, and we completely said that you're in charge of this, and we can walk away
and it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no follow-up. It's done. So they were.
I remember Mose mentioned when he first brought the idea to me 3 years ago when they broadcasted. They came to cover the Summit of the Americas, him along with his director, Marisol Amaya. And I produced a series of shows for them in the Los Angeles Belizean community, which was broadcasted live from the mobile studio at the WUP, and going around with Marisol and covering these stories along with Mose. He mentioned to me when he was so impressed with the Los Angeles Belizean community, the businesses, the movers and the shakers, the stakeholders,
very welcoming community.
I think she said
Passionate
that
too.
you would like to get the young people though.
Yes, and that's why I ask every one of I always start with my friends.
The
I
young
always start with my friends for borrow their children, for do some project that I'm involved with. And most of them have been very helpful in say, so we're very thankful for that. The other thing, we just to move it along, we had an investment forum the Friday, and the investment forum covers the business community, very business oriented. The Prime Minister gave a welcoming address.
And it was hosted by the Belize American Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, and that the executive director is Michael Devin Young. And listen, he's a mover and shaker in his own right. He's been doing a lot of stuff, taking a lot of responsibility on his own. So we can never discount him for any of that.
So yeah, the investment forum was a way to get the business community together to talk about investment opportunities in Belize. And it was it was really great to see the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, all sitting there listening to the growth of Belize. I mean, just the opportunities that are there as well. And it did make me feel like finally they care about the diaspora. Finally, someone cares about what we have to say. It was a powerful move on both political parties to show that they have a commitment towards what the diaspora has to say. It was good. It was very good. But let's not skip over the fireside chat that happened that Thursday night.
For the people who kind of missed the fireside chat, it was very personal, up close. People got to ask the leader of the opposition a lot of questions, and people were asking questions. Nouri Mohammed was the one of the facilitators, along with Rishma. The audio isn't great, but the opportunity to ask one of your leaders personally, and he was willing to stay to talk to and get everybody question answered. Again, to me, as just to reiterate what Rishma said, they now see that, listen, they are Belizeans are out here and they see it up close and personal. And it's really up to the Belize diaspora to hold their interests, because rights aren't something they give to you. You're already entitled to it. We just need them to open the gate, because opening the gate, the positive exchange will happen both ways. Belizeans will benefit and Belizeans abroad will benefit. It's not going to hurt anybody, not even politically. Honestly, I always say this, even if you give Belizeans abroad the right to run for office, you still have to win one election. They're not like you're going in there and they will vote, because you still have to convince people to vote for you. It is still a competition. But anyway, just to digress. With that also, we had the after the fireside chat, we had the meet and greet with
that was on Friday. Right,
so
on Friday we
did come meet people up close and personal, shook their hands, took their pictures, it all in a very jovial, respectful manner. Some people wanted him to go under the fire, like the lamp, like the leader of the opposition. But I think his presence there is significant, because it's not only his presence, it was the presence of multiple members of his cabinet were also there. Not to forget, we also had the mayor from Santa Elena, San Ignacio, and we also had the mayor from Toledo that showed up at the event, along with some councillors. We had, like you mentioned, the city council. You had the National Sports Council that was there.
National Sports Council, yep.
I must say, I spoke to the Minister, Honorable Ferguson, and he made it happen, honestly, for his group to be there. He couldn't come, but again, he facilitated it. So we're very grateful for him for doing that. And of course, we ended off with the gala. right?
A
Rishma
little
taking
fun
away
time.
on the gala.
A little fun time to be had. The way we looked at it is that we're doing 3 days. Um, well, we had been planning for months, but we have
Heavy
3 days of very heavy lifting, a lot of work, running around everywhere.
Was
When
so
we come-
impressive, though. Minister Cordell Hyde did not even come up. He was down there signing these land grants. And he did not, he stayed the course because he could have come up and he could have, I went up there
Yeah,
and saw him in
Yes,
action.
we were
I was
actually
like,
the Prime
man,
expecting,
Minister,
we
the
were
Prime
actually
Minister
expecting him
left
to
to go see him because
exactly.
he was
we
down
want to give it
there.
to Minister because Minister Cordell Hyde was very impressive with that land clinic. He stood the course. He sat there and because his signature is the final stop. He
Exactly.
never got up and said, man, I gotta get up and go jump up that
And he
top.
walking almost undetected because he walking with a backpack by
Served the
shirt,
people. He
like
served the
a
people.
public officer. I had to grab her when I see her. And I like,
Yes,
he
man.
wait, you know, but
Pick
he
up
was
that minister
like a
there, man,
public
because
officer. Yeah, yeah.
it was the real
No,
thing.
no.
I mean,
It,
he was the real deal. He showed that I am more here for the service to the Belizean community in the diaspora than I'm for anything else. Once
Yes.
I'm done with this, and if I'm not done with this, I will not go nowhere. And he did that.
absolutely. At one point, the
I
PM asked
observed.
where. At one point, the PM asked, "So, I know the DPM is here," and we had to tell him, "No, he's still downstairs in the land clinic working." And he said, "Oh,
And
okay."
I tell you, the
And
hotel had to kick them out
yeah,
because it was after 2 o'clock in the morning. They were still there.
and to the
Work,
PM's credit, he did go down and join him
yes,
after
all
he
of
made his
us.
speech and he made his wrongs at the gala. He went down to the clinic and joined the DPM as well. But yeah, the dance was great. I have to shout out Caribbean Dynamics. They were very professional. They were great. I didn't even know that the lead singer that day would have been Donkey Man himself. So
Yes.
that was a surprise for
He's
us.
shaking one leg. It was amazing.
I showed my kids he's dancing. They're now trying to imitate him with the dance moves that he's doing. But no, I was like, wow, he's having a great time singing to us tonight. He's having a wonderful time. But
And what about Pharaoh King?
Aaron, yes, Dokuno Man himself
Just you know,
sang
I
with
end up with Dokuni in my freezer right now because
because of Dokuno Man.
the man bring real Dokuno
Yeah.
that event. Like,
People
okay.
made to raise their hand. I want one. I want one. But no, it was great. The music was great. The atmosphere was great. I think a lot of people, I see lots of people walking away, women with their shoes in their hands because they had to take their shoes off from dancing so much. And it was just a great way to end the 3 days of heavy lifting and hard work to just have something fun.
Yeah.
And
And
we
then
should end all our summits that way. We
I
should.
came home and I felt like I was getting sick, but I just think it's the jet lag because I was at work the next day, 7 o'clock in the morning, which my body clock was completely off because we made it out till like 2, 3 in the morning, which FYI at 6 o'clock here
Right.
morning. So like my whole body clock, which I plan to catch up on this weekend. But it was a very fulfilling event because a lot of planning went into it. We started planning last year in October.
Yeah.
We were having meetings almost weekly. Me and Rishma, myself, I'm a project manager for constructions. I do projects all the time. Every project I start with is a budget. So I'm very, as Mo said, dish out deliverables. Yes, I do. We need to get this done, that. We have a timeline, and the timeline is the summit. So that's how I am naturally with anything. If I do a project, it's what are we doing? What are the budget? And we have to work within that budget because that's the work that I do anyway. And of course, Rishma is a business attorney, so she have to deal with a lot of the business aspect. And by the way, she's a creative too. Listen, for we first flam is so expensive. Rishma are like, nope, I'm gonna start making flyers.
And I did.
Rishma became our creative, the drop flyers. Like, by the way, the drop on
I also
Friday.
have to plan that your sister was brilliant and outstanding in the youth
Thank you.
presentation.
And
I
she's
could
a great MC, by the way. That's her calling. That's her calling. Law is her moonlighting job, and her
Graphic
calling.
designer and MCing is my real job.
I love her content. She can articulate issues.
Yeah, RT is great. I mean, that's one of the reasons I had originally encouraged her to do the Miss Universe Belize pageant, because I was like, I went through the list and I go, this is you in spades. You need to do it. So I'm very happy to have other people see that. And I want to mention one other thing with the youth panel. There were discussions after that about maybe having a youth panel in Belize to connect the Belizean they're not teenagers, young people, with the young people here in the diaspora to bridge that gap, because we're always talking about bridging the gap. There were talks about maybe having a youth summit, and I fully support that. If that
And just so you know, I've been pushing within Belize, different people, I've been asking them, why don't I have my youth summit? Why don't I have my youth summit?
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time to talk about a lot of things about Belize, but the reality is that the majority of Belize are young people. And a lot of these discussions, like I was recently telling somebody this, if you look at politically at the polls, the young people at top the polls. They're not the older politicians.
The young
Exactly.
the council.
Yes, and you cannot stifle them.
And they don't care about the same things we care about at all.
You need to put your young people up front, because they're talking to their people, you know?
It's their time.
I always tell people, Barack Obama, I always give this example because politics are one of my studies too. When Barack Obama gave his speech at the Democratic National Convention, that is when the party realized we need to put him up front and center. That in fact, if you read about it, then I'll tell you, after that speech was so powerful and so moving, he was a young senator at the time. And the group got together and said, you know what, we need for Bill here for be president before he have more voting history in the Senate that will become negative against him. So they see that young person, and before he started make mistakes, then decide we want you to be president. But our political system, and I always say this, I don't know what we think that everybody deserve one turn. Like this thing where, oh, this person deserve one turn. That not the world is competitive. So you don't put who deserve one turn, you put who win one term. And make it
based on policy. That's my gripe about Belizean politics. Right now, they have the U.S. presidential debate. I could tell you what the Republican side is standing for. I could tell you what the Democratic side is standing for, because they have actual policies in place that are not, they conflict with each other. So you pick what side you want to vote for. What is the policies in Belize? What is the thing that you hang your hat on that we can vote for? That's my biggest gripe, is the policy.
Right. I don't want to dive into the politics, but every party that believes need to look at their young people, and they need to put their young people up front, because the politicians are getting old and they don't realize that their young people not interested in them anymore. I hate for say right now I get old.
Out of the way.
Yes,
they
don't want you there. Put the young people up front, make them run something, give them one project for handle.
Or something to invent. I mean, we live in a different world now. My sister's world is different from the world I grew up in.
Yes.
Right? Give them something to do. When we talk about, me and ARIA talk about AI to people, oh, no, AI. And we go,
I love AI.
That's the world that these young people are growing up in. We can't sit at the heads of any tables talking about, no, not AI. We're going to get...
Not your turn yet. No, man. Listen,
that's not how it works.
You summit have the same young politicians they try that to think, oh, no, too young. Put them for go create some youth service.
Create something.
Yeah. Hickman won and beat George Price.
I remember.
For general elections.
And then destroy the podium after that.
And he said that when he did not even understand how, when you go into the house, how to really operate. But he learned.
How about take them into the house?
I mean, it's
Work
not their
together. You don't have to be fighting.
process of the Senate and the House of Representatives and the policies. You have to let them get in there and they let them do it. Learn by practice.
Right.
I use Derek Aikman as an example because he's an epitome of what the young, brilliant minds that the United Democratic Party brought into their fray that absolutely exploded that party along with Dean Barrow and made that party triumph to that 1984 general elections and won it.
You know, when I did
the most popular judge, the most popular politician in Belize.
But most popular because that's what we thought, and that never the reality when you put it to the test. But what I'm saying is, when I did political science, they had one 6 weeks course. I couldn't afford as one student at the time, but I wish that I had taken up the opportunity. We could have gone to the Congress, and they may have pair you with one congressman, and you could have worked in their office for 6 weeks, and they may just teach you the ropes, how Congress operates and stuff like that. Why we can't do that for our young people? Make them start to learn how the system function. Make them start to learn
Absolutely.
Same thing with the police.
Junior senates and junior House of Representatives. Put it in the classrooms. Bring it in the social studies curriculum, the Belizean studies curriculum. Train them for that, but we want to keep them ignorant so that it's not their turn. It's not their turn because we are
the doctors. Do it career wise. When we were going to school, we used to have to go do career week, go sit down in our ministry. At that time, I wanted to be an attorney. I got into the Attorney General office. Yes, we only spent the time writing Christmas cards for the minister at the time. That's what we did. We signed the minister name for almost hundreds of Christmas cards and mailed them out. That was but you got to be in the office and you got to see and feel how things operated in those types of stuff. But we have to engage. We cannot create one system. And I say this not to be controversial. We have a lot of idle young men, I believe. School, they're not necessarily their forte. School are not everybody's forte. But prison and death cannot be their sentence. We cannot be okay with imprisoning or watching our young men die. You know why? Because we are a country that's under threat all the time from Guatemala. And who you think will fight one war? Mostly young men. So you cannot, as a nation, to have a consciousness and think that it's okay to watch their young men just to tear each other apart. This is where sports want to play a role. That then become competitive positively, give them resources. You know, we don't want a small country. We don't have to get people to live in our ghettos. We got enough land, and that's why I honestly like that. Then they give away land like crazy, because the more people get land, the more vested they'll become in the country. And
empowered.
Yes. And at the end of the day, you want people to live with space and dignity.
Dignity, exactly. And they always talk about the brain drain, the young people are going away. That's because when they come back home, what are they going to do if you don't even get the opportunity to show your merit?
Yeah.
Show your worth, to show your ingenuity. If it's always about placing someone ahead of you just because it's their turn, then what is the incentive to come back?
Yeah.
Right? So
we need to do it. And this is what this summit did. This summit had some serious conversations. There was a lot of side conversations taking place. And then, fun things happening. But it really shows you that Belize is a diverse community. One, we have diverse interests. That means everybody in a wag around Belize. Everybody doesn't want the same things, but that doesn't mean that we're not entitled to it. And I think that's what you have to understand. Something that you're entitled to, you should be able to use it when you want to use it. In a story, nobody not to give you anything. I don't have to go beg anybody for it. I, as a citizen of Belize, in a constitution that says that we are all equal, you cannot create different tiers of citizenship. I really think that the biggest challenge within the constitution itself, that the constitution talks about equality and in the next breath creates different tiers. And the fact that we still have a constitution and national anthem that completely ignore women and a lot of times. And, you know, our language, people don't realize it, but language is important. How you describe something is important. Language should be inclusive. When you talk about rights of people, it should be inclusive. Should never be exclusive. Should never be exclusive. So with that being said, we had a great summit and Rishma want drop something. Where am I say Rishma where and drop
Well,
tomorrow?
follow the summit on Facebook and Instagram. It's at Belize Diaspora Summit. And tomorrow I'm going to use my graphic designer skills and drop a save the date for our next location. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram to find out where our next location is going to be.
Yes. Bilal, any last words?
Yes, I just want to say that I feel so very rewarded, so very high-spirited that I have lived to see the Belize Diaspora Summit, which has bridged the gap between Belizeans at home and abroad, and that I was able to make a difference by participating in it. You know, I was very impressed with having been a 30-year organizer. We are bar say 40. A 30-year organizer that we got
30 plus.
30 plus.
But I'm just thinking, I have lived in a community organizer in the Los Angeles Belizean community and have seen so many efforts that came to do what you all did, the Belizean American Chamber of Commerce. We have to big you all up, the facilitators, that you made this possible and it worked and it produced the results. Sometimes you have a lot of these things, but they did not produce any results.
Let's not forget that Moses is the big connector, you know, Moses is a connector.
Yeah,
Let's not forget that he did his little connection and then he moved out
He likes to stay behind the scenes, but he's definitely an integral part of putting this together.
We want to big up Most High. I want to big up the Minister Correlline most of all because he was very impressive, and he worked his butt off, and he came in there, and I watched him for days, the days that he arrived, and I was going to see if he was going to crumble or if he was going to move away from all that Belizean turnout, that the demand for land.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't only a demand for land. A lot of it was a demand to create, like to fix their land issues.
Right,
also.
title, paperwork and stuff like that. And I want to say all the ministries showed up and showed out and really gave it its all for the
very professional, very professional. And I am very happy both governments decided, not governments, but all our leaders from both parties saw the value of it, showed up, was at all events.
Showing up, making that effort to come, because a lot of time the prime ministers don't come. And also to see leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, also coming to represent. And one thing that I like what he said, if he comes to power as the prime minister of Belize,
100 days, right?
So he would bring the Diaspora Summit in Belize.
It's 100 days where I got voting rights too.
Voting rights.
Let's hold them. I don't forget their words. Don't come make me a promise. I wait that the door for you come pick me up if you say that this is the way to carry away. So if you carry away that senator, I ready for make we go there. Let's create the legislation for them and let them tweak it, because if we wait for them create the legislation, they are busy.
Yeah.
So we need that have to be our thing.
Remember one politician, I can't remember his name, but in the Belize government, he said, make us do it.
Yes, let's hold them accountable. We have 2 votes.
Make us do it, right? And
we got 2 votes. We just have to convince the other 30. How many? 30.
Well, that's why we keep on having summits, right? Until we have all of them listen to us.
Yeah.
We're having our summits and getting Belizeans together. That was the whole point of doing the summit in the beginning, getting us together to have some kind of power.
So thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you, Rishma, for coming on the show.
Welcome.
You're a great add-in. Maybe you should come on some more. Bilal, thank you so much. We've been working now on this show for about a year and a half, and I think that the bridge will be built. I don't know if it completely built yet, but make we continue lay the foundation so that this happen. And I'll leave you to have the last words.
Yes, again, I just want to say that this is Naval String Connections. I am Bilal Morris with my co-host ARIA Lightfoot live out of Florida. And our guest today, Rishma D. Eckert, one of the organizers of the Belize Diaspora Summit. We want to big up, and I want to say publicly on the air that I said to ARIA on the panel, ARIA, you are the new thing, but I want to say today, I want to correct that. ARIA, Rishma, Michael, and all of those who are part of the Belizean American Chamber of Commerce. Only that a new thing.
Yes.
I just want to say again, thank you, Belizeans, for listening to the show across the Belizean diaspora and across Belize itself. We want to invite you to another episode of Belize Naval String Connection, on Creme Television. This is the Creme Television production. We want to thank our brother Harlan in the studios and our producer, Nur Mohammed. We want to thank XTV and Most High. Thank you for watching.
Good night.
Bandit.
Tell them that we